What's up, guys? This is Coach Mario Cristobal on the Joe Rose Show, November 14th. Y'all make sure y'all check it out on Odyssey.com. Let's see what he's talking about.
Doing great, Coach, and nice bounce back for the team. It really was. And Coach, let's start with Ja'Cory Brown getting a start, and boy, did he look good? Great game plan for him. 14 and 19. 136 yards and 3 touchdowns, but also he's such a great athlete. 19 carries for 87 yards as well for the guy. Talk about that decision to start him and go with him against Georgia Tech, Coach.
I mean, we're down four offensive linemen, right? And protecting the quarterback's always at a premium. You know, Ja'Cory is not only a good player, he also could protect himself sometimes with his feet. So the combination of those things, the fact that, you know, it makes the running game very different. It makes the defense defend all 11 guys, right? And an extra gap or two. So, and he had a great week. He's shown a ton of poise ever since he got here in January. The guy went out there and he didn't flinch and took the first drive right down the field along with the offense and got the momentum going.
Yeah, listen.
It makes sense. It just made sense. A lot of people wondered, would he start Jake Garcia? Would they start Ja'Cory Brown? Well, when you look at how Jake Garcia and his confidence has been, plus you factor in all our offensive linemen being down, it just makes sense. Put the quarterback back there that can, as Coach Mario Cristobal nicely put it, can protect himself with his ability to run the ball with his legs. So, makes sense.
It's college football, isn't it, though? Being able to run and throw and keeping everybody honest every play. And when you think you've got him in the pocket, and that ability to take off and run for a first down is just so demoralizing. So that added dimension was Coach, when did you realize he might be ready to play? I mean, obviously you see him every day since he got here. Was there a point in the last few weeks where you go, man, he's been playing in a little bit, I know he's been getting some carries, where you said, I think he's ready to go, he'll be okay, it won't be too big for him?
Well, he always flashed that talent. You know, when we put him up in the game up there at Virginia Tech, he didn't flinch. You know, like, okay, so he's not going to be affected by all the stuff, you know, all the noise and all the clutter that comes with it. So, but the thing is, you know, he is a really good passer. And maybe a couple times he got a little bit nerved up and the ball got away from him. But I think as he gets more and more repetitions, people are going to see how special he is.
Coach, and I think that's where us as a fan base, we don't give this coaching staff a lot of credit. A lot of people saw what happened this past weekend as Ja'Cory getting into the game and having a great game. But no, this staff has slowly brought him on. You know, obviously Brown put in the work in practice, but then they brought him in for one snap against Virginia Tech, or a couple snaps against Virginia Tech, just running the ball. And then they put him in the next game, and then the next game, and then now we needed him, and he showed out. So I think that's a big time move by our coaching staff to say, hey, this offense isn't flowing. We don't have a lot. We have this weapon. Should we just save him for use his red shirt? No, Gaddis, Mario Cristobal says, let's use him in the Wildcat. And because they used him early in the season and slowly brought him along, he was ready to go full-fledged, balls to the wall as a starter. So he didn't have to really work through all those jitters, if that makes sense. So gotta give credit where credit due. I do a lot of complaining about the coaching staff. I got to give credit to those guys.
You brought up the offensive line, and yeah, they did a heck of a job in this game, and Jalen Knighton back to where he was before, 118 yards rushing. But you got to say a lot about this offensive line. Down starters, they played really well.
They played well. They protect the quarterback well. I thought Will Mallory played his best game as a blocker. I mean, no one mentions his name, man, but that guy really got after it in a big-time way and did a good job in the C-gap. And a lot of credit to Jalen Knighton, just bouncing back throughout the year with injuries and a couple issues here and there, but played really, because he ran really hard, just ran hard, you know, broke tackles, made the first guy miss. Really proud of him. And all in all, just honestly proud of the way this team bounced back and showed up and got after it.
I promise you, as an offensive lineman, when you know that, okay, if I do make a mistake in the passing game, I have a quarterback that could bail me out. I'm sure it helps their mindset to whereas if they know if it's flopped it's if I make a mistake, then, my quarterback's done for. But if they make a mistake with Brown at quarterback, they know that, hey, this man can still do some things with his legs. And as for Rooster, shout out to Rooster, man, to go through what he's been through, and not only have a good game, but after the game, give credit to the fans, go over to, he didn't have a I told you so type of attitude. To me, after the game, watching the interview and watching how he interacted on the field, by the way, go check out Manny Navarro on Twitter. He has videos of Jalen Knighton going up to the fans, pumping them up after the game. To me, that was gratefulness. He could have easily had hey, this is what I could have been doing the whole season, but no. Shout out to Rooster, man.
Coach, I want to ask you about, we're talking about O-line, the big Coop. I don't know. I know he's 6'6", only you and your coaching staff know the true weight, but has he surprised you as a true freshman on how good he's been?
Yeah, well, he's about 350 in moon pounds, you know what I mean? We're average a little less, but Big Coop is an exceptional human being, an exceptional competitor. The guy's going to be a great player, and he's playing really well for us. He understands the game. He's a one correction guy. Once you make you fix something, he doesn't have to get it explain him 2 and 3 times. He just gets it. Very instinctive, heavy-handed, light-footed, plays with great leverage. Guy's going to be a special player.
Can I ask you about a couple other true freshmen you brought in Basaint and also Kelly at the defensive end position? Man, those guys, and I know they're not playing all the time. They're playing in different parts of the game, but they just look like they got a chance, Coach, to be really, really good players. I know Basaint's not the biggest guy, but man, he hits you. Whatever the weight is, he's a linebacker. That dude can hit.
Yeah, well, Wesley started this game, and he's a starter for us now.
He is officially a starter?
He is, and he played extremely well, man. Just different. You call those guys erasers, right? The ball bounces or a crease, and all of a sudden, bam, splat, 2nd and 8, right? And he's that kind of guy. His weight's up. He bounces between 15 and 20, and he's going to be a 230-pounder, within a year or so. So he's done a great job. And again, can't say enough about Nigelique. Nigelique's another one that he hasn't started, but he starts on certain packages. Both those guys, it's what it looks like, right? What's supposed to look like. And those guys are going to grow and get more repetitions and get better and better. So, had a bunch of freshmen on the field on Saturday that did a really nice job. And the older guys have done a great job helping those guys learn the system.
So I'm watching the game on defense, and I say, oh, Wesley started. And then, you just watch the game, and you keep saying the same thing in your mind. Oh, there go number 31. There go number 31. There go number 31. A lot of times he wouldn't even be making a tackle. He's just in the screen. And I feel like that's how a linebacker should be. Sideline to sideline, always making plays. And Coach Mario Cristobal talked about Inez Cooper, Nigelique Kelly, Wesley Basaint. But my question is this. We've often seen these freshmen do good when they get on the field. Like last year, some of the freshmen, they impressed. My question with this staff is, can you develop these players? Because that's been the biggest problem. One of the biggest problems at Miami is we see a kid flash his freshman year, and then he either stays at that level his sophomore, junior year, or he declines. We got to get to a point where we see a freshman, okay, next year, he's better. Junior year, he's better. Senior year, he's night and day better. We got to get him trending up. That's what I want to see with this staff next season is these guys that we're talking about now, will they be developed and will they be better? Because I think that's an argument to be made that in past years, under past staffs, that has been a problem.
Cameron Kitchens, who the highlights and everybody's going to talk about, and we probably waited too long to talk about him here already, but 3 interceptions, including that pick 6. Incredible. I've always thought since he got here from Northwestern High School and how good he could be. How good has he been overall, Coach, for you this year?
Well, it's crazy to think he's only a sophomore. People kind of – that gets lost and all this stuff. He's on his way to being elite, and it starts with the fact that he has elite habits. The way he approaches practice and preparation, his film study sessions are already legendary. He's always in there with that clicker, man, just finding a way to gain a step, gain some leverage, gain a tip here and there. He practices hard. He's a great leader. Does the right things on and off the field. He's what you want. You want a ton of guys like that. That's what makes it happen. So, again, he's a blessing to have here at the University of Miami.
And I think what Cam is doing is going to rub off on the other DBs. Mario Cristobal says, "Hey, Cam's in the film room working hard." And then, so if I'm a young DB and I go through, I say, "Oh, Cam's he's watching film late. Oh, that's cool." But then when I see Cam get that 3 interceptions, I'm like, man, this man leading the NCAA in interceptions. I need to start doing what he's doing. So then what do you see? You see Cam and 2 other freshmen DBs in there. That stuff is going to be contagious, and that's the type of culture that we need to get to the top.
Piggybacking on that, he talked like a true leader in the locker room after the game, talking about last week after the FSU loss, that they didn't want it to be like that again. They wanted to work hard this week. I thought that was a great comment from him after the game. After the game, he had too, just talking about the fact about that locker room and getting back to where you guys wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, you always got a choice, right? You fold it up and you pack it in, or you come out swinging and you get right back to work, and that's ball, man. And the guy's a ball player. He epitomizes South Florida football, in my opinion. Guys like him and several other guys that we have on the team, but he is that guy. And again, special dude.
Coach, there's one stat that has never before you and I ever knew what a football looked like to today. The turnover machine, man. No turnovers for you. You guys get 4 takeaways plus the score. It is the one stat that doesn't lie, isn't it? Isn't it the most honest stat in football?
No doubt, man. Possessions, right? I mean, the ball, ball security is job security. And that's why I'm really proud of Rooster, because, Georgia Tech, I believe, was second in the country in forcing turnovers. And he secured the football and ran hard. It wasn't like he was protecting it and running tentatively. It was a 4-0, turnover margin for us in this game. That was something that was a huge point of emphasis, and it showed up. And man, when you emphasize something that shows up, it's makes you really proud of the guys.
Coach, you got a pretty good feel now for which guys are the kind of guys going forward.
Oh, I do want to say this, and I'm sorry, guys, for interrupting during the question. But I want you guys, if you go back and watch the game, watch Rooster run the ball and watch his first 3 steps. To talk about what Mario Cristobal was talking about, Rooster has had fumble problems. Georgia Tech is was third in forcing turnovers or something like that. Rooster double covers the ball first 3 steps like extra. So it shows that Rooster is coachable.
That you like, and which guys you can probably have a vision and won't be back. You got a pretty good feel for this team now with a couple of games left.
I think is when you coach football, you never give up on anybody, because you never know when someone's going to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, you make sure that you absolutely load the place up with elite talent, because that's the name of the game. It's personnel. Come on, man. Look at the plays being run out there in college and pro football. Personnel makes it go, go, go. But what you do is you just pour into each and every one and let it ride, right? Because, as always, in competition, the cream rises, right? And everyone gets better, but you just keep coaching your butt off. I like to look at it that way, keep that perspective,
right,
but make sure that you raise the standards. You don't lower your standards for anyone or anything. Never. Raise the standards, put it on them, bring them, challenge them, groom them, love them up, but keep bringing it at them, because at the end of the day, there's no kind and cuddly way to prepare for what we have to do.
No, and you're just getting this thing going. And I always wonder with this transfer portal, because it's so easy for everybody to just go, okay, I'm leaving. Transfer portal, and it's going on everywhere. It's going on from the top program right down to Cal Berkeley. It's guys just is that hard to work around that when a guy comes and says, well, I might be hitting a portal? Because after a while, Mario, if a guy seems like he's checked out or might be checking out, how hard is it to get through that whole thing? Because I'm guessing that pops up a lot.
Well, I mean, I'll speak in general. Is I think around the country, what you always see like the end result, but you probably don't see the conversations had behind closed doors.
Right.
You know, like the portal's a two-way street. You know, and I think teams and coaches and players got to do what's best for them, and the portal's good for both sides. You know what I mean? I mean, I would say roster turnover is more critical for some programs as opposed to others, depending on what state of the program they're in, right? And depending what type of talent level they're at and what they're trying to acquire, what type of culture they're trying to acquire,
right.
The mentality, right? You want to surround guys with like-minded guys. So I think I know I'm answering it in general. In a general
No,
way,
I understand because I can't see you begging a guy to stay at the U.
Right. You got to shape your roster as it relates to the big picture. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you do that, you've got to be very honest with players as, hey, man, you're doing awesome, but we got to do this, and that, take that next step. Or you got to be honest and say, hey, brother, you know, if this doesn't change, you know, this ain't for you. And we got to find guys that this is for. So I think it's like that around the entire country. I know everyone's trying to get better using it. I just don't think the true story is ever told out there. It's just kind of a, you know, splash on the social.
Yeah.
Basically what Mario is saying, and I've heard a lot of coaches say this, basically Mario is saying is like, yeah, players do leave the U, but sometimes we tell they ask to leave the U. You know what I'm saying? Players, they do enter the transfer portal, and sometimes we kick them to the transfer portal. That's what he's saying by it's a two-way street. And I know, just speaking for me in general, most of the times you hear transfer portal and I think, oh, this player is leaving. Not all the time, my friend. Not all the time. Sometimes they kick them to the portal.
Media.
Yeah, right. Oh, no question.
Coach, Henry Parrish, Leonard Taylor, injury status going up for this week versus Clemson?
Not sure, man. Not sure. You know, evaluating day to day to see how those guys are doing. I think they're going to be okay. You know, I do. And let me see who else. You know, obviously, you know, we're down a few guys, especially up front, but hey, you got to go with what you got. And proud of those guys. They went on, they battled. And if you're willing to battle for 4 quarters and take it deep into the ball game, you know what? You always got a chance, and that's what we want.
Right. Hey, Coach, Tyler Van Dyke, you expect him to play the last 2 games, or do you think that he might be shutting it down because of this injury?
No, we're close. You know, we're getting there. We're getting better and better. So anybody that does have an injury, unless it's, you know, one that's definitely season-ending, we work our tails off, medical does, to get them where they can play safely. You know, they're always going to do everything humanly possible to get a guy ready to play without putting him at risk. And he's one of those guys, and he wants to play, and he's working his butt off to try to get there. So day to day, man, we'll see.
How, just for you personally, after the FSU game, to see your team bounce back on the road like that, how rewarding is it that you see that kind of effort?
It's progress, you know, and I told the players, I go, you know, Miami Hurricanes around the country, we're proud of the fact that we showed up and got after it, because that's what Hurricane football should look like. You know, defensively, offensively, stopping the run, running the football, throwing the ball well, finding a way to win, just finding a damn way, right? I mean, that's what it's about. And, you know, our guys, we're learning, we're growing, we're developing. We have some areas that are talented, some that need a ton of talent acquisition. And you know what? Everybody's learning just more and more all the time. So any day you get up and go compete, it's progress. So we felt like we had progress. Extremely happy for the players, for them to come out. Because you know what, Joe? They had a lot of fun, man. You know? I mean, they really had a lot of fun playing ball, playing together. And after that first drive, I look over the sideline. That thing was on fire. I'm like, probably going to be a good day.
That's right.
Coach, anything changed message-wise? You got Clemson coming up on Saturday. Big underdog this weekend. It's a huge game for this university.
Well, that's, you know, that roster is what it's supposed to look like. They've been at it for a long time. Coach Cristobal Sweeney's done an unbelievable job. They're elite across the board. Played them when I was an assistant coach at the University of Alabama, and it hasn't changed. They're coached extremely well. They're disciplined. They play hard. And they, I'll tell you what, man, they're impressive. They're as impressive as it gets.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you coming on this morning. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.
All right, 3:30 kickoff from Memorial Stadium. It's coming up on Saturday. Miami and Clemson, 12:30 pregame with Hollywood and Monroe here on 560 WQAM.
All right, right now.
Y'all let me know what you think. Joe Rose Show. Odyssey.com. Y'all go check them out if y'all wanted to listen to the whole thing without me yapping. I'm out. Peace.